Hello, today is Thursday, August 20th, 2015, and I am your host, Sue Brown, and welcome to info2rail, your freight train to modern media. How y'all doing today? Well, we got a pretty wet, rainy day today for you. I want to welcome you all to our show, and we have a great show in store for you today. We're very fortunate to have psychic medium Karen Noe with us today. First, a little glimpse into the missing persons files. First, we have Victoria Faith Edwards, age 14, was last seen in Ocala, Florida on August 4th, 2015. She is 5 foot 1 inch tall, 119 pounds, has blonde hair and hazel eyes. Anyone with any information on her location, please call the Marion County Sheriff's Office at 352-732-9111 or dial your local 911. As I said, there's not too much to go on with that one, guys, so if you go on the Google Sites page, there'll be a picture of her on there that you can see. The second one, her name is Diamond Bynum, age 21, who is developmentally disabled and has a mental capacity of a 7-year-old, and her 2-year-old nephew, King Walker, were last seen in Gary, Indiana on July 25th, 2015. The pair may have been spotted at Hammond, Indiana bus stop on July 31st, 2015. Bynum has a disability in which she feels the need to constantly consume food and has a noticeable limp. Bynum's stepmother told police she and Bynum laid down with King for a nap, and when the stepmother awoke at 11 a.m., Bynum and King were gone. The Bynum family, who moved to the 500 block of Matthew Street in February from Hammond, said Bynum and Walker may have went on a walk and didn't know their way back. Bynum hasn't had her medicine in almost 2 weeks. She's 4 foot 8 inches tall, 238 pounds, has a gold highlights in her hair. She was wearing a white top and blue jeans when she went missing. Walker is 3 feet tall, 35 pounds, and has braided hair. He was last seen wearing red shorts and a blue t-shirt. Family members said he knows a few words and does not speak in complete sentences. Police are asking anyone with any information about the pair to call Detective Lieutenant Nelson Otana at 219-881-1209 or dial your local 911 immediately. Like I tell you guys every week, this is really important to me to get this out there. I can't even express it enough. If this was somebody that you loved or one, your mother, father, sister, brother, daughter, wife, husband, any of it, you guys would want everybody to do what was in their power. And you know what? We have the power. We have to be on the lookout for these people and, make a little extra effort when we're out and about to take that special extra glance just to see if we recognize them. Okay, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we are going to have Karen Noe with us. Stay tuned. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Okay, we are back with Karen Noe. Karen is a renowned New Jersey-based psychic medium, spiritual counselor, and a healer with a 2-year waiting list. She's the author of Your Life After Their Death, a medium's guide to healing after a loss and through the eyes of another, a medium's guide to creating heaven on earth by encountering your life review now. She is a founder of the Angel Quest Center in Ramsey, New Jersey, where she teaches classes, gives reading, and practices alternative healing. You can listen to Karen on the Angel Quest radio show by tuning in to www.wrcr.com on the first Saturday of every month at 1:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Or you can go to her website as well at www.karennoe.com. Noe. It's KarenNoe.com. I think this is going to be an amazing interview, you guys, so I can't wait. Let's get started. All right. Hello, Karen. Welcome to info2rail, and thank you so much for being on our show.
Thank you for having me.
Can you tell us about you and when you began to receive messages from those who have died?
Oh, sure. Well, people ask me that a lot. When I was younger, I had dreams that would come true. My father used to take me to the racetrack, and I picked the winning horses for him, things like that. But about 20 years ago was a little bit different story. I was psychic back then, but now I'm able to receive messages from those who passed as well as the angels. And that's different. People who've passed are different from angels. We could talk about that later as well. But about 20 years ago, I was going through a rough time in my life, and I sat at the edge of my bed, and I yelled at God, and I said, am I going to be okay? And with that, I saw a light that came towards me from the other side of the room, and my first response was, if you're not of God, please leave. But the more I said that, the more it kept coming towards me, and it eventually enveloped me, and the most incredible peace came over me. And I didn't know what happened to me at that point, but I knew my life was changed forever at that point. Then I heard an audible voice that said, Lucia Lucina Bella Lucia Lucina, which, for the Italian listeners, it means light, little light, beautiful little light. And to make a long story short, through meditation and everything, I found out that that was an experience from St. Francis of Assisi. And right after that experience, I started receiving messages from those who passed, as well as the angels, and I didn't want to share it with people. I didn't want people to think I was not in my right mind. But the more I did, the more I saw that it was just confirmation that it truly was their loved ones. So now, fast forward 20 years later, here I am. I've written 3 books and have a practice in Ramsey, New Jersey, and spreading the word is what I'm doing.
Well, I'll tell you, it's a big subject with everybody because everybody has to face it. We all lose loved ones. So, this is,
right.
For me, this is a very important message to get out there to those people who struggle, so hard with their loss. I, on the other hand, handle things differently. I really didn't know how I was going to handle things. I lost my dad in October to cancer, and I thought it was going to be the most devastating thing in the whole world, but I can tell you what was more devastating was watching him suffer. Yes,
absolutely. And, that's a message that often comes through, and because I have a practice, I give messages to people, the loved ones who are living. But when they come through, often they say, we're okay, we just want you to be okay, and please remember us how we lived, not how we died. They don't want you to remember him. He wouldn't want you to remember him that way. So,
well, that's the thing. I remember, the good times with my dad, but and we're a really close family. My parents were married 50 years, right, almost to the day he died. And,
wow.
The closeness that we had as a family and the unselfish, undying love that he gave to this family and the dedication and the commitment that he gave to this family is something far bigger than, there's a lot of families out there who don't have that. Who don't have that closeness for some reason. It just kind of seems like the newer the generation, the more of a gap that there is.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Right? You were truly blessed to have a wonderful dad, and he was truly blessed to have you as well. So that's important. And, what happens is after we pass, we're able to see how we've affected people. We're able to see through each person's eyes as if we are that person. So I'm sure he feels very good then. If all of you were very close, he feels that, which is a wonderful thing.
Well, his biggest fear was that we would forget him. That's what he said before he died.
You never would forget him.
Well, the thing is, he was very well known in our community and very well liked in our community. There was not too many people who didn't know of him or know him, and they all thought the world of him. And I tried to explain to him, you couldn't be forgotten if you tried, And the fact that he would help anybody, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter. He never wanted anything out of it. It was the satisfaction of being able to help another human being.
Oh, he sounds like a wonderful person.
He was honest and truly amazing.
Mm-hmm. You were both blessed. As I said, absolutely. A lot of people, as we were talking about before, they have a lot of regrets. So that's not the case.
Absolutely. I agree.
Have you felt him around at all? Because people who have passed often give us signs to let us know that they're around. Have you received any signs from him? Or
I'm not sure if this was a sign from him, and that's what I was going to ask you about. I was sitting here, and I was chatting with a friend of mine on the phone, and her and I got onto the discussion of my dad. And I have a moon that hangs on the wall beside my TV. And we were talking, and I looked up to see what was going on the TV set, and all of a sudden, instead of this moon coming on in quarters, it just popped on, full light popped on. And there was nobody in the room but me, and the remotes to this moon are entirely across the room. And
it sounds like a message to me.
It freaked me out, but it didn't, It was more of a, excitement and wonderment. Is that my dad, or is that
I,
because I had been, saying to God, I need a sign, God, I need a sign that things are going to be okay. And that's my wonderment. I mean, was that God coming through to me, or was that my dad, or was that kind of a sign from both?
well, it sounds like a sign from both. It sounds like you were speaking about your dad at the time, and he wanted you to know he's okay and was with you. So usually when someone gets a sign, they say, "Is this my loved one?" And you did that. You automatically thought, yes, and that's what happens. There's a lot of ways that they like to come to us. So you may have been receiving signs and not aware of it. But usually when you get a sign, it's something like that stands out, something that normally wouldn't happen, you know?
Well,
such as,
9 out of 10 times he comes to my 19-year-old daughter, and
oh,
he doesn't come to her. She'll feel this overwhelming presence of my dad, and she'll say, I just feel that Grandpa's right here with me. And she doesn't know what to think of it, and I have to tell her that he is, in fact, right there with you.
yes. Well, it's very scientific, actually. You could explain, because science says the energy doesn't begin and it doesn't end. So the energy of who we are continues. And the same personality as we were when we were here in the physical body, you retain that personality. So he's around your daughter. He's probably around all of you, just letting you know that he is okay. That's the main message, that he's okay. He's still around you. And he can help you in ways he never could before. So all you have to do is ask, and you'll see. You'll be receiving blessings because he could actually help you. He comes telepathically. That's how they come to us. People expect to see an apparition of what they looked like or to hear an audible voice, but that they're not in a physical body. So when they come as, to let you know they're around, they speak to you telepathically, which is like a thought just pops in your head. Does that ever happen? Something your father would have said or done?
Yes, and it comes out of my mouth. That's the thing, He was my dad was a very don't sweat the small stuff kind of person. He was very laid back, very just, you know what, you take one day at a time because you're not promised tomorrow. And, you make light of things, and, you don't get upset about the small things because life is too short. And that's how we were brought up. It's very laid back, you make a joke out of things. Why take it so seriously and get upset? You're hurting other people when you say things you don't mean. And that's how we were raised, You say the things out of your heart that you feel for somebody. You don't say the things out of your mouth out of anger and stuff. And we just were brought up that way.
That's the way everyone should be brought up, Try to have compassion for other people, see through their eyes. I tell people a lot, as I stated before, after we pass, we're able to see how we've affected people after we pass. So why do we have to wait until we die, to see the bigger perspective and try to have compassion right here and now before it's too late?
Absolutely, I agree. I agree. Mm-hmm. We should show each other and tell each other how much we love them as much as possible while we have them. I agree.
Yep.
Because, you can tell them afterwards, but you can never hear it back.
Right, exactly.
You say that everyone can receive messages from our deceased ones. Can you tell us how that is?
Sure. Well, number one, I would say ask your loved one to come to you in a dream and then to wake you up after the dream so you remember it. A lot of times our loved ones come to us in dreams, but if you sleep the whole night, you won't remember it. The thing is to be patient and persistent, and they will come when you least expect it. But you'll see there's two different types of dreams of a deceased loved one. One would be your subconscious dreaming of your loved one, which would be scary and how they died and all of that. That's not them. That's when they come through, it's very peaceful and loving. So you just make sure you know the difference between that. Also, we could ask them to give, as you said before, ask to give you a sign to let you know that they're around you. And there's so many different types of signs they give us. For example, they love to come to us as an animal. Not that they're always an animal. Let me explain that. They use their energy to come inside of a bird, a ladybug, a butterfly, dragonfly, or any other animal to let you know they're around. But it would do something that normally an animal wouldn't do, such as land on you, peck at your window, or something like that. Have you ever had anything like that so far?
No, but that's kind of creepy.
Yeah, I know.
My mom was sitting outside, and my mom actually had a hummingbird come right up to her face and just
That's what I'm talking about.
yeah, and it just hovered there for a couple seconds, and then it flew away. And she's
That's
not.
what.
Yep, that was that. She didn't even know what to make of that, because that doesn't happen to her.
Can you tell her that, that's what happens? It's not that your dad's always a bird, a hummingbird, but he's able to use his energy just to let you know your mother know for a brief period of time that he was there. Hummingbirds don't do that. They're afraid of people.
That's what
not
I
a normal
thought.
thing. Right. Exactly. So that it sounds to me like that was a sign from your dad. That's awesome.
When my dad first passed, I had a dream. It was either that night or the next night. And my dad was always comical. He always just, had a smart alecky thing to say about everything. And we're down in the kitchen in my dream, and he comes out from the living room. He comes into the kitchen, and I just froze. And I looked at him, and I said, "What are you doing here? You're dead." And he looks down. He goes, "Don't look dead to me." He says, "I feel better than I ever have."
Hey, that's what I'm talking about.
And
Did
then
he come younger looking?
he looked just like my dad before my dad got sick.
That's it. Then you know it's a true visitation. Because if it's your subconscious, it would be scary. It would be, how he passed, looking terribly. This is him. He's trying to let you know he's real. He's really there.
Well, it was funny because I have that smart alecky self sometimes, and I said to my mother, if my father's not not dead, then whose ashes are in his urn? And my mother looks at me and says, "I don't know, but we better find out."
You know what it is? It's a wrapping paper of who he is. The real dad is not in that body. He's now free. And he's now able to be around you, come to you in dreams, give your mom signs with the bird. Sounds like he's very present in your life, trying to let you know he's there. So that's wonderful.
It's amazing. I lost my grandfather at a young age. I was 18, and I didn't ever experience death that close to me like that. And that was the most devastating thing I've ever gone through in my life. For some weird reason, I was sleeping on my couch, and I astral projected in his living room and watched him die. And for me, death did not happen to the people you love. So for me, that was the most devastating. I don't know why I was put there to see it. But then when my dad passed, I think I realized I was put there to see it, to know that this does happen and it's okay.
Yes. It sounds like exactly that. I'm sure you loved your grandfather.
Very much, yes.
But your dad is your dad. That's even more close to you. So you were prepared, I think. I don't know.
For my dad, it was a lot easier. I kept saying, "God, just take him home. Just take him home, please." You know what? To set him free is the most unselfish thing in this world than to sit and be all sad and cry because I don't have him. I should just be thankful for the time I did have him.
Exactly. It's still, I'm sure you miss him terribly, but as we were saying, he's not really gone. His body is, but the essence of who he is still very much around you. And that's a fact.
Can you see him at all? I mean, can you hear him or anything?
Well, I can't make somebody come through, but what happens is, this is what I would tell you to do when he comes to you. You're going to expect to hear a voice or to see an apparition, but again, that's not how he's going to come for the most part. Sometimes they come and they show what they look like, but for the most part, but in a dream, they can show who they are. So that was wonderful you saw him in a dream. Let's say you're awake, it would be a message, a thought that just pops in your head for no reason. Something that he normally would have said, and for no reason, it just pops in your head. Like, when you're thinking of your dad, it would be something like this. Something would trigger a thought, that would trigger a thought, that would trigger a thought. That's you. But if your dad comes to you, if he's trying to speak to you, a thought will just pop in your head, something he would have said, to you, and you'll say, "Wow, why did I think that?" The reason is he's speaking to you directly.
Wow.
That's how. Yes. So just pay attention to those, those feelings and sounds and everything. There's other ways he could be coming to you. I don't know. Sometimes they like to allow us to smell, a fragrance that they like. I don't know if he liked that, if he had an aftershave or if he smoked or anything like that. That would be another way. Another sign would be they like to make the songs come on at the perfect time. Like it could be their song or something, the message that you need to hear. It'll just come on somehow on the radio when you need to hear it the most, when you're in the mall or you just happen to be walking and you hear this song. That's another one. There's so many ways that he could be coming to you. As your daughter, she just dealt him. Sometimes people just feel peaceful for no reason.
Right.
So, also, they like to play with electricity. The things go on and off. The lights flicker, things like that.
The lights flicker here constantly. The lights are flickering.
See, there you go. He's really a parent in your life. So he's just saying, next time that happens, hi, Dad. When you acknowledge him, he's going to be thrilled because he's trying to get your attention.
I do. I always say, okay, Dad, I know you're here.
Good.
Can you tell us what happens after we die?
What happens after we die?
Yeah.
Okay, so what happens is we're greeted by our family and friends and even animals, and they all greet us, and we're able to see, as I stated before, you're able to see the bigger perspective through your life, what you did, how you affected people through each person's eyes, good or bad. We could feel it as if it's our own. You go through a life review. So, we judge ourselves basically on how we did. And it's not that forever you're going to be in a bad place if you did something wrong, but you'll have that bigger knowing, that bigger perspective. You'll say, oh my gosh, I did this. And then they like to come through and say they're sorry for whatever they did, because they're able to see the bigger perspective. It's a beautiful place. It's a place of love and peace, and they're able to use their minds to speak to us. And oftentimes they say heaven wouldn't be heaven without being with my loved ones. So that's why your dad is with you. It's not that he's stuck. People ask me, oh, is my mom, is my dad stuck because they're here with me? No. Because if it was reversed, say you were on the other side, wouldn't you want your father to know you were okay?
Of course.
So you did the same thing. So that's exactly what happens. And it's a wonderful place. And as you said, there's no suffering. There's only love and peace and compassion. And we're all one. And you could actually feel that oneness when you're there. And that includes animals and pets.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I think my peace comes from knowing that, I have a strong faith in God, and I think my peace comes from knowing that he's where he should be and he's at peace now. And, as much as I wanted him here on this earth, I didn't want him here under those circumstances.
Right. Well, you're not being selfish. A lot of people, they don't realize they're being selfish, but they'd rather have their loved ones suffering here just to be here. But you really love your father. You didn't want him to suffer anymore.
Oh, no.
He truly is a better place. He really is.
Well, I look at him, and he would have never wanted anyone else to suffer either. He was, I think that's part of me that I got from my dad, that, I cherish that part of me that, I don't think of myself first. I can't be selfish. I don't really know how to be selfish. You get into that phase where sometimes you're too giving, and sometimes you're, what about me? When is anybody ever going to give to me?
Right.
But at the same time, for me, it's more for his peace than it is for my suffering, because I'm not suffering. I'm not without him. He's still here.
Right. Well, you realize that. Many people don't realize that. And that's part of your healing as well, to know that he truly is still with you.
How do we maintain our connection with our deceased loved ones?
Well, there's many ways that we could do that. I tell people sometimes to write letters to their loved ones, like to write a letter. And I did this. Let me share an example of my friend Marion passed away, and I wrote her a letter because I wasn't able to see her at the end. And in the letter, I said all the things that I loved about her, and that all the things I knew she'd be okay because she was truly a giving person and all of that. And I told her to give me a sign at the end of the letter. I would say this to all the listeners as well, is to write at the end, please give me a sign to make me know that you're aware of what I have written. So let me backtrack by saying Marion was a sarcastic person, funny person. So what happens is we retain the same personality after we pass. So I wrote her the letter, and I said, please give me a sign to let me know that you're around and that you were able to see what I had written to you. So 2 days later, I'm walking down the stairs to my house to put letters in my mailbox, and a bird is in the driveway screaming, and when I say screaming, at the top of its lungs, wah, and looking at me. just like the hummingbird came right to your mom, this bird was just trying to get my attention. And I walked over. I knew it was Marion, and my first response was, Marion? Oh, my God, Marion, I love you. My neighbor's looking at me like she thinks I'm crazy, but I didn't care. And I walked down the path to put the letters in the mailbox. The bird followed me to the mailbox, landed on the mailbox, and kept looking at me, screaming. And I took my cell phone out of my pocket. I called my son, and I said, come outside, Marion's here. And he said, huh? I said, just come outside, Marion's here. And he came, and he witnessed the whole thing. Funny thing is, 2 days later, a mutual friend of ours, Carol, she calls me up and she said, you're not going to believe what Marion did. And I said, I'll believe it. You have to hear what she did to me. She goes, okay. Well, I just finished painting my kitchen, she said, and I opened the sliding glass door of my kitchen. A bird flew into my kitchen, dirtied all of my walls, and then flew out. And she screamed, thanks, Marion. So we knew Marion was visiting us because she was this was typical personality of Marion. So what happens is, they come as the same personality as they were. But that was, you could write a letter. You were saying, how do you maintain your connection? You could write a letter, ask for signs. You could just speak directly to them. They hear you, and sometimes, they're speaking right back to you. You just have to learn how to receive the message. And again, it comes as a thought that just pops in your head, and you have to remember that too.
The different things we go through in our lives, the struggles and stuff, can they help us through those?
Absolutely. They can help us in ways they never could before. So you just have to trust this is how the messages would come as guidance, as a gut feeling to do certain things. Like, in other words, say you're having money problems. You'll have a gut feeling to apply for a certain job or to do something that you normally wouldn't do. And it's from something else, not coming from you. It would be, you'll feel very peaceful about it. So definitely ask your loved ones, but ask the angels and ask God too, because they help as well, as we know.
What you were talking about, are they what you call the without a doubt signs?
Yes, there's many, as we were talking about, the dreams, the animals, the fragrances, the electricity, there's more. They like to place common objects in our path, such as feathers and coins. I've had clients that keep finding feathers all over the place, or, coins, and they put them in a jar so they remember, how many signs they're receiving. There's many. They make buzzing sounds in our ears for no reason because they're speaking to us in a higher frequency. So if we're not paying attention, our ears will go, it'll ring a little bit. That's when I tell people to just quiet your thoughts, because they're speaking to you. So if your thoughts are going a mile a minute, you won't be able to hear what they're saying. So you have to quiet your thoughts if you get those ears ring. It's just a higher frequency. That happens to you?
A lot, yes. It never used to. I never used to go through that, but a lot of times I'll be sitting here and all of a sudden I have this, crazy ringing.
Yeah.
It's almost like I can't hear anything but that ringing.
Yes. And the reason is because they speak on a different frequency. And this is important too. Their frequency is very high because they feel their connection with God. God is always with us, but they're actually able to feel they're with God. Not that how do I explain this? We have this body that kind of sabotages that feeling of being connected to God sometimes. They feel it all the time. Their vibration is very high. So in order to connect with them, we need to raise our vibration to get more on their level. In order to feel them, to receive the messages, such as practice forgiveness, be more compassionate, many different things. Most of all, you have to set the intention to connect with them. That's important too.
That's amazing because, talking to you now, I see how many more signs I've actually gotten that I never recognized.
And the best part is the more you're aware of the signs, and he knows that you're aware, the more he's going to give you. He'll be excited that you really can, feel him around. He'll be excited.
Can you tell our listeners what to expect when they go to a reputable psychic medium?
Yes. Number one, if you have to wait a long time, that's a good sign. In other words, if you're just going on, you make an appointment and you go the same day, well, unless the person's just starting out, that's a different story. But for the most part, the ones who are really giving the messages, they're booked a long time. It's all word of mouth. So to be patient, and it's okay to wait a while because it will be worth it. There's a reason for that. When you receive the messages, you want something, maybe, probably something that the other person, that your loved one would only you and your loved one would know. Something that you know without a doubt that psychic did not know. Maybe, and also names or nicknames or something very specific. For the most part, the ones that you want to come through do, but you can't make them come through. It's not on demand. They're busy just as we're busy over here on Earth. So it's not that you could say, okay, make this person come into the room. It's truly up to them. So just be patient, and whoever's supposed to come through will. And you should feel very good after a reading that is a true reading. You should feel very, very good, like you're truly connected to your loved one.
I had a psychic on here, I think it was last week, and she kind of scared me a little bit. I wasn't expecting it, but we were chatting about, the loss of my dad, and she said to me, he smoked, right? And I said, yes. And she said, he quit before your last daughter was born, right? And I said, yes. And she said, I have him right here. And I was like, whoa. So,
and did he say anything else?
Just that he was really, hung really close with one of my daughters. And that's the weird thing, because I have my oldest daughter, we'll go through, not just psychological problems right now, emotional problems. And then the 19-year-old, he just taught her how to drive. Even, he was dying of cancer, and he taught her how to drive, made sure she had her license and all this stuff. And that's why I wasn't sure who he stuck with the closest. But that's the one thing I didn't get the clarity of is was he sticking with my oldest one, just to make sure that things get worked out all right? Or is he with my second oldest one for, whatever reasons? But that
what was the one that felt? I would imagine it was the one you said that felt him. You said that before. You have a daughter who feels him around.
Yeah, she's my second oldest one, and she says, I'll just be laying in my bed, and it's like, I just feel that he's in here. I just feel it. She has
tell her to ask him for signs and give her guidance, and that's exactly how it will come. It's gut feeling.
She has a picture of her and him in a room that's above her bed, and it was Father's Day, and she said that there was no wind in her room, no fan or anything, and that picture was kind of flapping up and down on her wall, and it was the only picture moving, and I said, that's your grandfather, all right?
Absolutely. So that's wonderful. He's giving you all signs, and it sounds like that daughter needs to hear from him, or she's more open to it. It doesn't mean he loves her more than anybody. It means that she's more open to it. That's all.
Well, she struggles with his death. I mean, that was the girls. We were at my parents' a lot. We lived up the street, but even when we lived up the street, they were always here. And, all my kids were very close with my parents that way. So for my girls, that was, my dad is kind of the glue that held everything together. So it was really hard on my two oldest ones, I have to say.
Oh, I'm sure. Just as your grandfather's death was hard on you. It's the first experience. Is it their first experience with death?
Yep, it was their first close like that experience with death, yep.
Yeah, it's hard.
Well, the fact that it happened right in front of us, I mean, he was right in the dining room, and we were in the kitchen, and we heard him take his last breath, and that was it. But,
oh, my gosh.
But it was
sounds
okay.
Like he wanted to pass in front of you. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, it was okay. It was a piece that I never thought I always feared it. How am I going to handle losing one of my parents? I couldn't live through that. But the peace was just overwhelming. It was, you know what, Dad, go home, be at peace, fly with the angels. Now you can watch your NASCAR on TV and, play poker with your buddies up in heaven and just enjoy your life, enjoy your afterlife.
Exactly.
In your book, you explain how we can raise our vibrations so that we're better able to connect with those who have passed. Can you tell us some more about that?
Well, sure. Because they're on a higher frequency, we need to be more on par with their vibration. One of the most important ways to do that is to practice forgiveness. So you want to, even if you don't want to forgive another person if they hurt you, do it for you. Don't do it for the other person. Because by holding on to that, did you ever hear the saying, it's not the snake bite that kills you, it's the venom that's left behind. So as you practice forgiveness, you actually help yourself. You raise your vibration. You feel better, you know? Another way is to be more compassionate with people, as we were talking about before, and to try to understand other people and where they're coming from. Another way is to be grateful for what we have, not for what we don't complain about what we don't have, but, you know, be grateful for what we do have, count our blessings. To become more aware of everything around us. You know, if you're more aware of that your dad might be around and you set the intention, chances are you'll be able to feel him better and you raise your vibration because you're expecting his vibration is high and you want to raise yours up as well. Another way would be, not everybody wants to do this, but eat primarily a plant-based diet. I'm not saying you have to be a vegetarian or a vegan, but you may want to try maybe one day going without meat or something because that raises your vibration as well.
Really?
Yeah. The reason being is when you're eating meat, you're actually eating the pain and everything. But, you know, I'm not telling everybody. It's not for everybody. For the people who want to do it, I'd say do it. Because also, I don't know if you've ever heard of Doreen Virtue, but she's also an author about angels and raising vibration. And she talks about don't eat chocolate because that lowers your vibration. But I love chocolate. I love dark chocolate.
Me too.
So, yeah. So, you know, everybody's different. Whatever. You know, go with it, try it maybe for a day, see how you feel. And if you feel better and you're starting to connect better with your loved ones, then go for another day and see how that goes. You know, there's so many different things you could do to raise your vibration. The most important, I think, is to meditate, because praying is talking to God, but meditating is listening. And in any connection with any relationship with anyone, you want to listen as well as speak to someone. So I would say set it aside maybe even 5 minutes a day in the morning, just with the intention of quieting your thoughts. That's it. Not trying to receive messages, just trying to quiet your thoughts. You could stare at a candle. If you can't quiet your thoughts, just focus on the flame. There's many different ways to meditate, but definitely set that intention of quieting your thoughts. Because as we stated before, if they're speaking to us as thoughts, and our thoughts are going a mile a minute, we won't be able to feel them or hear them.
I have a problem with meditation. My problem with meditation is I fall asleep when I try to meditate.
Okay. Well, try not to lie down when you're doing it. A lot of people say that too. You know, try to, sit up while you're doing it and count your breaths, or there's many different other ways of meditating. There's one is called chanting. You could say the same thing over and over, but people think you're crazy sometimes. If you say, oh, my.
Right.
But it really does help. There's something called mala beads. That's 108 beads that you say the same mantra 108 times. That's a sacred number. And if you say it 108 times, that is meditating. You're focusing on the same thing over and over. So that helps as well. But don't lie down if you fall asleep. Do you sit up when you're meditating, or?
No, because it tells you, like when I do a meditation thing from online, it always tells you to lay down and get in a comfortable position.
Yeah.
And
boy, I would say just sit up.
It doesn't work for me because I'm snoring in 5 minutes.
Yeah, try to sit up, and as long as your spine is straight, that works as well. You just want to keep your chakras, the energy, systems within your body aligned. So if you're sitting straight, that works just as good as lying down. And hopefully you won't fall asleep that way.
That'd be a good idea. I never thought about that because they tell you to relax from your head to your toes, and I'm like, if I'm sitting up, I can't relax from anywhere to anywhere. I'm sitting up. So
exactly.
I'll have to try that definitely. What are some of the techniques that you use to help to heal after losing a loved one? I know that there are a lot of people out there who, really struggle with their loss. What do you do to help them in that healing process? Okay.
Well, when somebody comes to see me, the most, I give the messages, and of course that's healing. But as I try to explain to the person who is here, their loved one truly is okay. We're working on the living loved one, how to help them. So one of the techniques that's very, very effective, it's called the emotional freedom technique. It's tapping, not tap dancing, it's tapping, and I'll explain what that is. We have acupuncture points on our body that correspond to different emotions. And if we have any negative emotion, whether it be grief or anger, fear, jealousy, anything like that, it's stored in certain points on your body. If you tap with your fingers on those points as you're experiencing the emotion, now you have to be experiencing the emotion as you're tapping, then it actually moves that energy out and you feel the angst goes away. It's the most incredible thing. It's kind of, it's a lot of tapping at different points, but if you learn how to do it, it really works.
That's interesting. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah. I sent you the book. There's a chapter on tapping. I even say that perhaps is the most important chapter of all, but probably the most difficult of all to follow. But in that chapter, you'll notice the illustrations, where to tap and what to do. But the key is, remember, when you do the tapping, that you have to experience the emotion as you're doing the tapping, or else it doesn't work. So when I teach classes here, somebody's trying to get rid of it, they're angry at somebody or they're grieving. If they're just saying, I'm very upset, and you could obviously see they're not. And I'm not trying to provoke them or make them angry, but that's not going to work. They have to say, I'm really angry, blah, 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 like really experience the emotion, and then you actually let it go. When you tap on the points, it moves it out, and then you're no longer angry, and then you're no longer grieving. So it really is, it's a really good technique to work, to use and to figure out.
Well, that's really interesting. I mean, I definitely want to read in depth in that in your book. I can't wait. To me, so basically, if you keep this stuff in your mind and you're out and about and something catches you wrong or somebody just makes you angry, that's all it takes to relieve that?
Oh my goodness, yes. But now you don't want to do this in public because you're tapping on relevant points on your body. So find a spot where you could go in the bathroom or something, and you just actually have to. This is how you know it really works. You rate the emotion from 1 to 10, 10 being the worst, and then you do a few of the rounds of tapping, on the points that I talk about in the book. And as I'm tapping, I talk to myself. For example, I practice what I preach. I do tapping myself. When my mom passed 4 years ago, but I had a client coming to see me from 2 hours away, and she had to wait 2 years to come to see me because I have a waiting list for 2 years. And she's on her way to see me, and as she's coming, I receive a phone call from my mother's doctor saying that my mother only has 2 weeks to live. So, needless to say, I was very upset. And I didn't want to cancel the appointment because she waited a long time. So I'm crying, and actually that's the best time when you're tapping. So I started tapping. On the points and saying, I'm going to miss my mom. I'm going to miss her so much. And, you just keep saying whatever you're thinking, whatever you're feeling. I have to tell you, by the time the woman got here, I was okay. And I know nothing else would have gotten me to that point. So after that experience, I said, I have to teach people about this because it really does work. And I see it, day in and day out. I had a young woman here. She came here. She was in high school. They were bullying her. And we did the tapping. And within a few minutes, she just stopped. She was hysterical when she got here. And within a few minutes, she was fine.
Wow.
So it really does work. And it takes, it only takes maybe 10 minutes to do. Truly worth it.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How do we go forward after we lose a loved one? You talked in your book about setting new goals for our future and, while at the same time maintaining our connection with the celestial realm. How do we go forward in peace? Like you talked about in your book. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, sure. There's many things we could do. Well, number one, know and maintain your connection, with your loved one. You have to know that they're truly okay, and they want you to be too. with that said and done, they want you to get out there again. They don't want you to be suffering. They don't want you to be unhappy. They want you to be happy. They're able to see through your eyes. They don't want you to cry. You know, so if it takes, you know, you want to do things in their memory, that would work too. You know, set up a fund in their name or something that makes you feel good about doing something about maybe your loved one's illness or something like that. A very important thing to do is to get rid of any guilt that you have. Again, your loved one doesn't want you to feel guilty. They do not. They see the bigger perspective of why you did certain things, so there's no reason to feel that guilt anymore. The most important thing is they want you to be happy again, as I stated before. So just try. Just get out there. They don't want you to be alone. They want you to get out there, do things in their memory, and live your life again. That's the most important thing.
For some people, that's easier said than done.
I know that. And be patient. Takes time. It really does take time, and take all the time you need.
Can you tell us about what you were talking about earlier, the difference between angels and deceased loved ones?
Sure. Okay, so when they come through, our deceased loved ones feel exactly as they did when they were here. They have personality. So if someone was quiet, they're still quiet after they passed. If someone was like Marion, sarcastic and funny, when they come through, same personality. When an angel comes, they feel bigger and more complete love and compassion. And when they're coming through, it's just totally different messages without personality. It comes through something like my dear child or something like that. We all have guardian angels, regardless of what religion you are. We all have a guardian angel that's with us throughout our whole life and even after we pass. That's just with us, that can help us. There are also archangels who can be with more than one person at a time. So if you call upon the archangels, you're not taking them away from somebody who needs them more. There are 4 main archangels. One would be Michael, Archangel Michael. He takes away negativity. If you have negativity in your life or you need to heal with somebody treating you in a bad way or something, you ask Archangel to come to you to protect you and to take away that negativity. You have everything to gain and nothing to lose. So that's the good part. Another archangel is Archangel Raphael. Raphael is the healing angel. If I'm going too fast, let me know.
No, you're not at all. Go ahead.
Okay. Raphael is the healing angel. He would come through, you know, if you need someone, not someone, but an angel to help you to heal on any level, mind, body, or spirit. And he would be there for you to help heal in any way that is possible. Sometimes people don't understand if you call upon the angels and you're asking God to heal your loved one and they don't get healed, well, then they say, oh, I'm mad at God or the angels, they weren't listening, and forget it, I don't believe in them anymore. But what happens is if you do say prayers, we don't have the total understanding of why certain things happen, but just know that your prayer is answered. They are healed in some way. Okay, so just definitely remember that. Another archangel is Archangel Gabriel. Gabriel helps you with communication. So whether you want to speak to someone or write a book or you have a hard time speaking up, you would ask Archangel Gabriel to help you. And then finally, Archangel Uriel is the peace angel that you would call upon if you want peace in your life. And he was very present during 9/11. Very much around, trying to keep peace in the world. Again, you could call upon the archangels. More than one person could call upon the archangels, and they will be there for you. Again, you have everything to gain and nothing to lose. Now, how is that different from your deceased loved ones? The angels will always be there when you call upon them, every single time. Your loved one probably will be there, but if they're doing something, they cannot be in more than one place at one time. Okay, so that probably will be there, but not all the time. How I figured that out, I was doing a reading for someone, and her father was coming through, and I read everything down, and he was saying everything that the woman understood everything, but finally he said, leave ladder. And I said, leave ladder, and the woman didn't know what that meant. And all of a sudden her father was gone. So I said, I don't know what just happened, but he left. The next day I received a phone call from the woman that her sister, at the time of our reading, fell off a ladder.
Oh, my goodness.
So the father left to be with the sister. And that's how I figured out, okay, they cannot be in more than one place at one time.
Wow.
So that's the difference. Yes.
For our guardian angels, so basically they're different than the archangels. Everybody has their own specific guardian angel that only watches over them.
Correct. And it doesn't matter what religion or no religion, doesn't matter. We all have a guardian angel. So I would say build up a relationship and ask your angel to give you signs to let you know they're around you. Just as well, as you say about your deceased loved ones. Ask the angels to let us know they're around. And then you'll get wonderful. You have everything to gain and nothing to lose. Your life will never be the same. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Well, you hear it a lot. A lot of people, have their stories that they come on TV and talk about how they got in a horrible accident, and all of a sudden they saw like an angel hovering over them, and everything was okay, or the angel waited with them or flagged down a car or something. And, it kind of seems, wow, could that really happen? But
absolutely.
It's fascinating to know that it can, and it does.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, sometimes when I'm in a funk myself, and, I started off, as I said before, I have the 3 books. My first book was The Rainbow Follows the Storm. That was written in 2005. But I was more focused on the angels. And I actually was more happy at that point because the angels were very, in my life. And then something happened throughout the years, and people wanted the deceased loved ones because that was more personal, what they wanted. But I'm missing the angels. So about a month ago, it was recent, I just said, hey, I know you can hear me, but I can't hear you anymore. What's going on? And I just was staying. Sometimes it's at your lowest moment when you could truly feel them. So the reason why I was calling upon them is I'm writing my 4th book, and I just was in a funk. I couldn't write. I didn't know what to say, and just had that there for many months. I had the table of contents, nothing. So the night I was talking to my angels, I said, please, I know you, as I said, I know you can hear me, but I can't hear you. The next day, woke up, I wrote the whole first chapter with not even just kept going and going, and I knew that was not me. I just couldn't write for months and months and months, and then all of a sudden I had this tremendous inspiration. It just came out of nowhere. That's the way they come. They come as gut feelings. They come as peace. Again, we expect to see them as an apparition. That does happen. But for the most part, they are not in a body. So they're coming to you as feelings, as, thoughts, and, like that. So.
That's very, it interests me, though. But you hear a lot of people say, well, angels don't do that stuff. And for me, I have no doubt. I mean,
mm-hmm.
there's things that have happened in my life, or points in my life where I didn't know how I was going to get through something or how to deal with something. And it's, I think the hard part is, having the faith and trusting in God, that when you ask him for something, he does things in his time, but he does the right things for us.
Correct. Right.
So
we just have to have the faith and the patience to know that the answer will come when you least expect it, but it will come.
All right, and that's the hard part about people.
Yeah.
I look at people like, I absolutely think the world of Joyce Meyer. I think she's just an incredible person. But I look at all she's come through in her life from just the horrible childhood she had to just what she has now in her faith in God and how beautiful it is. And
mm-hmm.
It gives me hope because so many people, they don't hear God's voice or, hear an angel's voice, and automatically to them, they don't exist. There isn't any.
Right.
And
I have a very funny story for you. I'm sorry, I cut you off. What were you saying?
Oh, I wasn't saying anything. I don't know why my phone continues to ring, but.
Oh, okay. No, the other night, and still, I talk to my angels all the time. I'm in the car, or the other night, again, something happened. We go through life, and I went for a walk with my dog, and I always say this: I know you can hear me, but I can't hear you. when I'm in a funk, and the reason is because my vibration is low. Right? I cannot feel them when I'm in that place.
Right.
So I'm talking to them, and I'm walking my dog down, I'm talking in my head, and I'm looking up, and there's a very bizarre cloud. It looks like an ear with a finger in it. And I'm looking at it and said, "Now that's very bizarre. What the heck is that?" And then I just kept moving on, and I was in such a funk. I didn't realize till later that was such a big message. But I couldn't get the message because I was in a funk. So so I went home. I felt I was in a better place. I meditated, and then I said, "Well, that was very weird. I saw a cloud in the sky. It looks like an ear with a finger in it." I said, "Oh my God, they're telling me, they're talking to me, but I have my finger in my ear. I'm not listening." I couldn't even get that message when I was in that funk. I couldn't get it until later. So that's key to everyone listening, to understand that the angels are there for us. But if we're not listening, they can't get through. That's the point. We have to raise our vibration. And when we're complaining, and that's what I was doing, we're not on the same vibration as the angels, so we won't be able to hear them.
I know in my life, this is just personal because I don't have anybody else to kind of compare things to, but I know in my life when things are kind of the worst, that you feel like they're the worst thing that could possibly be. And, I know for me, I continually have to hand things to God and say, "You have to take control, God. I can't do this on my own." And no matter how many times I hand it over, for some reason, I continually take it back. And then I have to hand it over again, then I take it back. And it's the frustration for me that I'm sitting here, he sees my pain, he sees, he knows what's going on. And no matter what, I beg for peace, and I'm not getting peace. And I beg for, this and just solve this problem, either make it go this way or this way, just stop this whole chaotic situation of any kind. And, for me, it's a frustration because we're not getting immediate answers.
But see, this is exactly, I think, why I got that message with the ear with the finger in it. You are, but if you're in the vibration of being in a bad place, like I was the other day, that's exactly where I was, in the complaining days. That's what I was doing. That type of thing. I'm not on the vibration with them. The vibration of the answer is not on the same wavelength as the question, if that makes sense, right? So you have to, okay, I know this is what I tell my clients and my friends, and the way to pray is not to beg God, because if you beg, it means you don't believe it's going to happen. When you pray, you're going to say something like, "Thank you for creating peace in my life. Thank you for healing me. Thank you." Even though before, if you're sick, just say, "Thank you for healing me," knowing and having the faith that you are being healed. Or, "Thank you for creating abundance in my life." Even if you're very poor, whatever it is, instead of saying, "Please help me to," whatever it is, help me to get money, help me to get better, that's begging, and it's not believing. So that's the key. The key is to know it beforehand, to feel the feeling of your wish fulfilled before.
I've heard that said many times, and that's hard. It's hard when you.
Oh I know.
When you're in the moment, in that exact moment, you're not believing anything's going to happen except for it's just going to get worse.
Easier said than done. Exactly, because I know I was there, and then it's so funny when that whole big message of the clouds with the ear with a finger in it. I couldn't even notice that was a sign for me until later. When I raised my vibration, I said, "Oh my God, that was a big sign, But I couldn't, because the answer to the vibration of my question was not in the same vibration as the answer. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
I do. So in order to, easier said than done. But you know what? If you're in a funk, ask Archangel Michael to help you get rid of all the negativity around you so that you can raise your vibration. And it truly does help.
So they actually, you can actually feel these archangels working in your life?
Oh, my God. But not when I'm in a funk.
Right.
Not when I'm in a funk. So, sometimes it takes a lot of work, to forgive, say, or to do the tapping. That's one of the most incredible ways of getting rid of the negativity. sometimes I say, why didn't I do that first? Because how can you think positive thoughts if you're in the middle of something really bad? To say, have the faith and think, easier said than done. So that's when I say you tap. You tap on the acupuncture points that I talk about in the book. You tap it out. You say, I feel blah, blah, blah. I feel this. I feel that. Whatever it is. And you're tapping on these acupuncture points. And you just keep going until you feel a relief.
So
you rate your anxiety from 1 to 10.
But what does
10
that
being
do
the worst.
when we tap like that? What does that do to that acupuncture point?
Okay, so what happens is if you could imagine that when you're holding negative emotions, whatever it be, anger, fear, jealousy, grief, it's stored in these points, this negative energy. So as you're tapping, you're moving that stuff. You're moving it out. You're moving it out. You're moving it out. And you just keep going. And you're talking. And you're saying all the things you need to say. I feel I'm never heard. I don't know what's going on. You can say whatever you want. As a matter of fact, when you're tapping, you let your anger say everything because you're feeling it anyway.
Right.
But then after you tap, guess what? You're not angry anymore. You're not feeling upset anymore because you let it out. The angst is gone. I always say I should have tapped first instead of, being frustrated for a whole day. Why didn't I just tap? And it really does work.
That is amazing. I definitely want to. I got to read up on that and try that because you know what? With 4 kids, sometimes you got to pick your battles, and sometimes that tapping thing will probably be my miracle of life.
Are you where are you located?
I'm in Canandaigua, New York.
Okay. Oh, because I teach classes on tapping. I'd say stop by.
Where do you teach them?
Ramsey, New Jersey.
You're not too far away from here. New Jersey's not that far.
Okay. Well, my website is KarenNoe.com, and then there's classes. So maybe you want to check that out. The tapping one is easier to see it work than read it. I tried to explain to the best of my ability in that chapter with the illustrations and everything, but to see it done in front of you is, a lot easier.
That definitely sounds like something I'd be interested in, take the vacation and get out for a while. And that's something I definitely I want to do.
Okay.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
It's kind of, it seems better than a massage or a,
It is. Oh, my God. It's such a relief. And again, you rate your anxiety from 1 to 10. Most people have a 10. And then after you do a round of tapping, it should go down. If it didn't go down, because then you rate it again. We didn't use the right words. Then you do it again. You figure out what exactly is bothering you. Some people think it's one thing, but it's something else.
Wow.
Say they think they're angry at their ex-husband, but in reality, they're angry at themselves for not speaking up, or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is all amazing. I've learned so much from you. You are amazing.
Oh, I'm glad. Thank you.
What do you wish to tell our listeners who've lost a loved one, how best to heal and move on in their lives?
Well, I would tell them that this is something I know without a doubt. It's not something I think or believe. I would say that their loved one truly is okay, and they want us to be okay, too. To connect with them, they want to keep that connection alive, ask them for signs, raise your vibration, ask them to come in a dream and wake you up after the dream. They truly are okay, and they want you to move on in your life and be happy again. That's what they truly want. They don't want you to be sad and be crying. They want you to be happy again.
What happens when we have a loved one that was not quite such a good person in life? Meaning, like, there's people out there who do some pretty bad things. There's murderers, rapists, and such. What happens when they pass and they were not good in life? Do they get...
They're going to feel it. Yep, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I keep interrupting you.
Are they the same people on the other side? Are they that same, evil kind of people on the other side, or are they different? Are they healed?
When they pass, they're able to see how their actions, they're going to feel that as if it's their own. So if it was a really bad thing that they did, like a murder, they're going to feel how that impacted all the people, the parents, whoever was murdered and all of their family, and they're going to feel it. as if it's their own. But it's not that they're going to feel it for eternity. In other words, they're going to know, oh boy, I did this. They are totally one with God, but on a different level than those who are in a good, very kind on earth, and they're going to be almost like a school. You learn and you evolve on the other side. God is a loving God. He wants us to be love and peace, and it's up to us whether or not we were a very good person or a bad person. But in reality, we all have God within us. It's just that we forget. And so those type of people, they forget. But they will know and they will feel exactly how they affected people by doing what they did.
Well, that's to me, that's amazing to know, because that's something I've always wondered, if someone has an evil side to them while they're on this planet and do, just horrible, horrible things, that, God still loves them and he, finds that forgiveness afterwards.
Yes. It's just like your Father, even though, say, you did something wrong, he would still love you, and that's so it is with our Father in heaven. So.
Well, I want to thank you so much. You are amazing. You have taught me so much today, and I'm sure you taught our listeners a lot. This was a very, very educational, healing interview, conversation. This was amazing, and I just want to thank you for taking your time to come on here and talk with us.
Well, thank you for having me on, and again, if you want to come to the class, check out my website, and I'd love to see you.
Well, I definitely am. And when we get the money for vacation, I think that's what we're going to do.
Okay.
Well,
you have my email? You do. You have my email.
Yes, I do.
Perfect. Okay.
All right. Thank you. You have a great day.
You too. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Wow, guys, that was amazing. That was definitely a very educational thing. Taught me a lot about healing and a lot about what goes on when our loved ones do pass. And I think that's something that's really important for all of us to know, is that our loved ones are with us. And, even though we don't always feel them or hear them with our ears, it's so much. It puts things in perspective a lot, because they don't have a physical body anymore. So, they're coming through on a higher frequency that's not of physical origin like we are. So to me, that's an amazing thing. I am so thankful to have her on the show. She definitely brought us a lot of information. So you guys, I urge you guys to jump on her website and check it out, KarenNoe.com. She is fabulous. Well, that's all we have time for today. We post our shows on YouTube, and if you want to know more about our guests and upcoming shows, all you got to do is visit our info2rail webpage. Just Google info2rail and click on our Google Sites page. I want to thank you guys, each and every one of you, for joining us here at info2rail. As I tell you guys every week, if it wasn't for the guests and you listeners, none of this would be possible. So I want to thank you guys so much for your time to come on and listen. And we invite you back and hope to see you here each and every week. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. May God bless you and keep you, and may his face shine upon you in these uncertain times. We'll see you soon.